Let's roll. Okay. All right, guys, thanks for jumping on board. If you can see me, you can hear me great. If not, I'm going to try to turn on the chat. We have a chat box here. If there's any questions, feel free to type in the chat box, jump on board here. Bridget, I see you on, but I don't. And I'm going to try to find out what's going on there. Okay. All right, guys. So if you got some background noise, either A, hit mute, or B, just try to jump on board with the video. I want to talk to you all today. We're really doing these trainings once a week to help you become a better coach, to help you sell, to help you market. Because here's the key: no matter how much knowledge you have in you, if you can't release it into the world, it doesn't serve a purpose. So I want to talk about that and what we should be doing from a place of coaching and getting your story out there. Sarah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, what is, if you had to share a 30-second, a 1 minute, a 2 minute story about you, is that something you can do? Is that something that you've practiced, or how do you share about your life and what you do?
About my life and what I do?
Yeah. If you had, because the power of a story is how you connect with people. If somebody says, hey, hey, my name's Wayne, I'm a life coach, and this is what I do. Have you thought of a story, or have you, not necessarily your sales pitch, but your story of why you're doing what you're doing?
I haven't really thought about it.
Good. Then you're at the right class.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You're at the right class then. Because that's really what I wanted to talk about today, the power of your story. Stories we see throughout the Word of God, stories, and that's, I use the Word of God a lot as my reference point because it is my life, but also there's so much in this Word. I mean, it's really His story. History is His story. And it's the story we see from Genesis to Revelation. We go in the business world and we look at leaders in the business world. There's stories about Walt Disney, how he came from nothing, being a failure. There's stories about everyone. There's stories about Donald Trump, Obama, whomever it may be. And these stories give us a paradigm where we can understand them. I think some of the greatest storytellers are, I love watching cartoons because they have to tell a story, and I don't care if it's a full animated feature or a small Saturday morning cartoon. Hey, wow, thanks for jumping on board with me. Hey, thanks for jumping on board. What we're doing here is we're talking about the ability to tell a story, and through the story, have people connect with you, have people connect with your purpose, have people say, I want to work with you in some way. I want to work with you. I want to connect with you. And so that's what I'm going to ask you to start doing, is to start thinking along those lines, because whatever you do right now to pay the bills, whatever you're doing, are you still working in the network marketing arena?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, well, I haven't been, but I've been trying to get back into that, trying to get back into maybe starting to build a little bit or connecting. That's what I've been thinking about, reconnecting and connecting.
Okay.
So I'm kind of been actually praying for that direction.
Okay.
Opening to get started is what I'm doing.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you, when you first heard about network marketing, what was it that caught your attention, or what was it that made you go, yeah, I'm betting it's a story of somebody that's done it, or What was it that do you remember? I've so many years since I've been doing networking. It's hard.
Yeah, I remember. I was working at I had a job, and I met a lady who would come through my line, and she saw something about me, and she was in network marketing, and she kept wanting to bring me into her business. And she said, "There's something about you." And I said, "I don't know." I said, "I'm working here right now." And then she'd come back, and then I met a couple of other people, and I went to a breakfast where there was a lot of different people. And so I started talking about what I did, and then they were talking about what they did, and it was just easy connection, like, relating and talking. So I guess I kind of got into that. But what I liked about it was the potential of the income you could make and building relationships with people and, things like that.
Hey, Sharon, thanks for jumping on board with us.
Hi.
So Sarah, I want you to think about that. You saw her, there was conversation, and then you said what you like about it is, and you're thinking ahead in the future and the present. So you really have taken a story of her life, applied it to your life, and applied it to your future. That's the power of story. So I just want to talk about the power of story, because we're only going to be about 20 more minutes here, and when I get off, you're going to have a homework assignment to craft that story. Hey, Lyle, thanks for jumping. Can you hear me? You on with me? All right. Tell me what it is. Tell me, if you don't mind, if you don't want to participate, thumbs down instead of thumbs up. But is there a story that has catapulted you in life, or a story that's caught your attention that maybe shifted something in your life, whether it be business or religion or whatever? Are you there, Kyle? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Is there a story that you want to share, or can you remember a story that caught your attention or made you want to do something more?
Oh, wow. I guess that would be learning about money. 3 years ago, when I got involved in my business with Carrot Bars, I guess when I came in for free, I began to learn what the schools never taught me about money was the turning point in my life. And all I focus on now is learning more about finance and more about where I'm supposed to be when I'm 65, so I'm not broke like most people will be, so that I have my future set in stone, so that I can retire here in the next 8 years and not have to worry about, or sooner, worry about where that money's going to come from, because it's starting to come in and compile. I really enjoy that.
Okay, good,
So
good.
That was my turning point.
Okay, so that's really, I want y'all to grab a hold of this. You had a turning point when you were introduced to a company and a compensation plan and a way of making money. And that's real important. And so Sarah was, she had a turning point, someone walking in. And so, Virgil, I don't know if you can hear me. If you can, feel free to speak up. I'm seeing you I'm seeing your screen up, but feel free to jump in at any time. Sharon, I'm gonna ask you, because I can see you. I see you're up. What is there a story in your life that made you go, I'm going to do this? Or was there that turning point, or was there every turning point has a story? So basically, if you got a turning point, you got a story. If you got a story, you got a turning point. What was it with you?
Is this about anything, or just
anything that is relevant to you moving forward in life? Yeah. Whether it's I'm gonna be a coach, or I'm gonna get married, or I'm gonna get divorced, whatever's happened.
Well, stress does make you a turning point.
Yes. Okay.
So I was doing at-home job, my billing, and then I started doing the life coaching certificate. And then my father, he's been divorced twice. I'm the only sibling around, so I've been taking care of him for years, because he has an amputee. He had staph infection, only has one leg. So since October, he has fallen. Usually he falls one time a year. When we go to the ER, the nursing home, and he goes back home, lives by himself. Well, this time it was 4 times. And with that extra stress of trying to find him a place, I had to quit my other part-time job because I was helping outside my home. And that made me more realize that, yes, I want a home job so I can be a blessing to my family. And my girls live in the Carolinas. My grandkids live in the Carolinas. I want to be able to do a home job.
Well, you number one, there's nothing like the Carolinas. So I'm going to
I agree.
But see, okay, so you had a number of turning points.
Yes, I did.
One on top of another.
Yeah.
See, when we're coaching people, when we're building a network marketing business, whatever your sales, you're training people, you're selling people, whatever you're doing, everything is about a story. Now, I'm not going to teach the whole storytelling process here. I can do that in 20 minutes. But I want to introduce you into that thought process. I want you to start thinking about things in your life that influenced you and the story behind it. My first marriage, my divorce, my remarriage. I can tell you a story that opened up that door of process. Mm-hmm. When I became a coach, when I became a trainer of coaches, there was things in there. When I became involved in network marketing, everything that I've got my hands in was because of a story that hit an emotional level. Now, a lot of times, and I know, a lot of people will say, well, as a Christian, I feel like God was leading me in a certain arena and so forth. And I agree with that in many cases. But how does God speak to us? And a lot of times we recognize he speaks through people, through stories, through situations. And I was telling Sarah earlier, I keep my Bible here because it's a reminder to me, his story. Everything is about a story. And so if we're going to reach people, Lyle, if you're going to retire in 8 years, you've got to tell a story that inspires people to get out of the stress that Sharon has and to come into a place of, I want to build this business. Mm-hmm. And it all begins with a story. One of the greatest stories I could tell 100 stories. I'll tell a quick story. And I'm going to be careful because I don't want to offend anyone because of who may jump on or who may see this. But I was at an opportunity meeting. I'll put it this way. A network marketing opportunity meeting. And the gentleman was given the pitch, giving his presentation, telling the story of the company. Well, my story was I stayed out way too late the night before. This is before I was a pastor, so God forgive me. I was not in the place to really hear his story, but I would listen. And I remember just almost falling asleep, trying to stay awake. And the man was boring as the day's long. So at the end of the meeting, they said he's making $8,000 a month in residual income. He's probably 12 to 13 a month when he could bonus checks. And I said, there's no way this old man that just put me to sleep is making that kind of money. He is. And I looked and he had the nice, Denali, Yukon. And I'm like, wow, if he can do it, I can do it. And that was it. I jumped into the company. I made tens of thousands of dollars, had a great business, met a lot of people because of a story that he told really poorly. But the point is, stories are what motivate us. A story. Sarah, you've shared stories with me in the past about what God has done in your life, and it just inspires me. I'll always be able to bring those stories. Hey, Derek, are you on board with us? Can you hear me, brother?
I can.
All right, brother. I see a screen. I don't see you, but that's okay. We know you're here. And so I'm going to be doing these trainings here once a week. I'm going to try to do them the same time every week, Tuesday, 4 o'clock. We'll probably open up some in the evening for people that can't be here. So I don't want you to think we're going to have an all-inclusive class here. This is really a primer. I'll send all of you a link. There's going to be a YouTube channel. If you are a coach with us, it'll all be in the back office. We're adding video after video after video of training. If you are not a coach with us, tisk, jump on board. But I want to really talk about the power of story because the story you tell. So I'm going to leave some homework assignments for you guys. I want you to write out, I want you to come up with 3 areas of your life that are, you'll remember them the rest of your life. It could be a marriage. It could be a divorce. It could be a religious event. And I don't want all three to be good. And I don't want all three to be bad. We have Debbie Downers that are, but all three bad. We have, you have those that can't be unhappy. And listen, we all have those days. 2 good events, 1 bad event, 2 bad events, 1 good event, something. And I want you to write them out. And I want you to just write out the event. And I want you to think about who was in the event. Was it somebody else that told you the story? Was it something you drew up an imagination of this story because of the events? How the story played out. Was it something you saw, you heard? How did you feel? I really want you to get into the emotion of the story. And how has the story affected you since? When you do this, you can wrap it all up. And I want you to be able to wrap it up in a way that you can tell it in a minute or 2. And hey, Derek, I just got your text, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate your feedback. So what I want you to do is wrap it up in a story that you can tell in a minute, 2 minutes, whatever. If somebody went to a 45-minute keynote presentation, I've got a huge gift card for you. If you can make it 45 minutes and I don't fall asleep. But really, we want 1 or 2 minutes. Let me share with you a story real quick. And this is off the cuff, and that's really what you want to be. You want to be have some stories that you can always tell, but I'm going to tell one off the cuff here. I didn't prepare this, so bear with me. There's a lot of stuff I'll leave out. But I want you to show you don't have to be perfect. A story, those connects people. Years ago, my father, he was the same age as I am, and he realized he had, horrible blocked arteries. He couldn't work. He was getting weaker and weaker. And he said, hey, listen, you've got to have open heart surgery. And he's like, I'm in my 40s. What do you mean open heart surgery? So he had open heart surgery, and it was just a downward spiral of his health from that point on. He loved his family. He loved us. He always worked hard. He told me, son, get up early, go to bed late, do what you got to do. You work hard, you take care of your family. But he was unable to take care of his family because of the heart disease. And then with the heart disease, the medicines came more and more problems on his health. And I remember literally saying, Lord, I know there's an answer. God, I know there's an answer. And for our network marketers on here, you'll love this. I said, I know that the answer is going to be brought through network marketing, because network marketers absolutely find answers. I mean, it's just a special breed of people. Because if they can find an answer, they can make money. So they're going to find an answer. And I said, Lord, I'm pretty sure it'll be, through network marketing. But I didn't. I continued doing my life. About 4 years ago, I got a phone call from a good friend of mine named Rome Batchelor. And Rome said, Wayne, I found it. I found it. It's not cheap, but I found it. 15 minutes later, I said, here's my credit card. How do I get started? And it was a network marketing company, and it was a product that absolutely has changed my life and the life of so many people. And a lot of times I think, what if my dad had had this? What if we'd had this technology, this formula back then? But you can't go back in time and fix things, but you can do something right now for your own health. You can do something right now for your own future. And it didn't just provide me with the health, but also I saw my dad that suffered and couldn't pay our bills. I now see an opportunity to take care of my family financially. So for me, that one phone call, Wayne, I found something, really changed my life. And and this was not planned at all, guys. I'm taking the product even as I'm on this webcam with you. So I believe in the product. The point is, okay, do you see that story that I didn't even draft it out, but I told it from the heart. It was a defining moment in my life. Not the most defining, but it was a defining moment. And if I was trying to convince anyone about this wonderful product I mixed up, or our compensation plan, or why they should do it, I've at least opened the door instead of, hey, let me tell you about our wonderful product and all the vitamins and all the things that it does for you. I'm not giving facts and figures, I'm giving emotion. That makes sense? When I help people, when I counsel with people that are going through divorce or infidelity or going through whatever in life, I don't give them facts and figures. Like 53% of people end up in divorce, and I don't do that. I listen to their story and I tell them a story in return. Jesus spoke in parables. And when Jesus spoke in parables, he shifted the thought process. And parables stay with you. Parables stay with you. The boy who cried wolf. Every one of you can know what that means. The boy who cried wolf. And I remember hearing that as in elementary school. But I still know it because it was a parable and it sticks with us. So, if you're going to retire in 8 years, you've got to become really good at telling stories to motivate yourself. There's internal stories we tell ourselves, but that's another class. You've got to be good at telling stories to your organization. You've got to be good at telling stories. If you're going to win people, I don't care if it's into, I talk about winning people into religion. People get all upset converting people. Listen, Jesus Christ told stories. And so we've got to use storytelling. And here's what I dare you to do. I told you to write out these 3 stories. I dare you to start looking at stories throughout life. And if you don't think stories are important, Netflix wouldn't be around. Hulu wouldn't be around. YouTube wouldn't be around. I don't care if you're watching stupid kitty cat videos or you're binge watching a whole series. You're watching a story. And when my wife gets up and starts crying, I usually turn my head before I get that far. I can get emotional, but the man in me won't let me cry. But when she's crying or she's up screaming at the TV, the story works. Does that make sense? When you decided to become a coach with me, it was because of a story. Either I told you or you told yourself or together we had a story about what your life can be like and the people you can help. And that story is a true story if you take the actions to make it out. And that's why we're doing this training. So any thoughts? Anybody else want to share on stories? How about you, Sharon? I see it. I see you're about to speak.
Okay.
What's a story that is anything, your thoughts on this?
Well, I totally agree with that because that helps you connect to people, telling stories. But a fun story, when you told me to write down a story was, speaking of the Carolinas, I was helping babysit my granddaughter in North Carolina, but my other daughter lives in South Carolina, so I was traveling to visit her. And I hit an object in the road, and I'm by myself in my son-in-law and daughter's car. So right away I'm freaking out because I hit this stroller cart in the road, calling my husband, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Of course he's in Pennsylvania and I'm in the Carolinas. And long story short, I hit the thing, blew my tire. A gentleman just happened to be on the side of the road with a truck. He fixed it for me with a big Jesus tattoo. I'm like, thank you. I mean, the story just kept going on and on, how God reminded me how he provided every step of the way, even though I was frantic. After that, I got to my daughter's in South Carolina. We went to Walmart to try to get the tire. Of course, the rim was broken. I needed a whole new one. We go to Firestone. Walmart couldn't fix it. Went to Firestone. And then we ended up calling a junkyard, which my daughter's friends' parents owned. They were closed, but they got us a free tire, a rim. So God provided a free tire, rim. So I go back to North Carolina. I mean, it was just like every little thing. God was in every detail of providing. And I was just like blown away. You remember that because it has, you know what I mean? We even went to a restaurant. We got free biscuits and soup. I mean, the whole weekend was like a God's favor, even though it was a tragedy.
Okay, and so I want you to hold on to that for a moment. That story, you're telling it now kind of like laughing, and that's fun. But you could also tell the same story with concern.
Okay.
What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? But God. And then you come in. The reason that's important because some people feel like everything is against them, that God's nowhere to be found.
Right.
And you say, that reminds me of a story. That reminds me of a time when I was in North Carolina and this happened and this happened.
Right.
Tell the story. And sometimes my stories are long, most of the time they're concise because what you want to do is help them realize I feel what you feel. I felt that way I found out something different, and you want to really connect with them. And so they can go, yes, I see there's hope there.
Right. I was guessing my back of my head. I was trying to do it fast. My story.
No, that's okay, because we are on a limited time.
I wanted 2-minute version.
Well, that's good.
Funny
Sometimes whenever
because
I'm ministering, I look at my wife to make sure she's not doing this. But I do want you to understand the power of stories. Over the next few weeks, we're going to get into stories. I'm going to teach you 7 different types of stories. From the 7 types of stories, we're going to go into the metaphorical story, how to lead someone with a story. When your story, and you're in the middle of a story and you realize you've lost them, they don't care, they're zoned out, how to wrap the story up. We're going to talk about how to, again, guide people through stories, but also how to leave a story that will always stick with them. Not for you, not so they remember you, but so they can remember this moment. And so we're going to talk about anchoring a metaphor to a situation in their own life. We're going to go deep, but I want you to learning all of the deep stuff matters nothing until you know the importance of the story. So, and guys, if any of you have any questions, y'all heard the phone ring a couple of times, 910-233-2511. I don't mind you calling me, texting me. That's what I'm here for. If you call and I can't answer, text me. I will answer a text at all times. If anybody's watching this and hasn't picked up our book yet, lifecoachlifestyle.com, get the book. Get the book. And get on the webinar. Any questions, let me know. Guys, I want to say I appreciate all of you being here. We're going to go a lot deeper. Keep an eye on the emails and the Facebook. And again, we're going to try to figure out a time that's better for everybody, because what we're going to do is we're going to have you share your stories. So those who didn't get on today, hopefully they'll see this and have time to do it. So let me get the homework one more time. 3 stories, not all 3 bad, not all 3 good. What did you notice? What did you feel? Was there a core belief around this story? Something you saw, heard? How did it make you feel, and how has it affected your life? You're not trying to be influential in it right now. You're trying to come up with a story. But I can take any story. I can take that story, Sharon, that you shared, and I can take it and give it an influential spin of why people need to hire you as a coach, why they need to trust God. And that's pretty obvious in it, but how to influence people through storytelling. Because stories always, another thing too, I don't know how many of you have children, grandchildren, whatever. Almost every night, I can't say every night, almost every night, I lay between my daughter's bed on the floor and I tell them a story. And I make it up. There's hundreds of books. Read them a book. Let them read a book. But then I tell a story. And I let them pick a place or an object or a character. And I always introduce something else. And I see how out there, if they look bored, they're bored. If I can get them sitting up in their bed and eyes opened up and asking questions and excited, it's not a bedtime story, probably should go, but if I can do that, then I know I've caught their imagination. And by doing that, I practice stories. Does that make sense? You want to practice your stories and you want to practice telling stories. And if you had nobody else to talk to but yourself, you do like me and you walk up and down this office, I'm going to wear the carpet out, telling stories, practicing stories, because stories are what change lives. So again, 910-233-2511, call me, email me, text me, whatever. And be sure to go to lifecoachlifestyle.com or prosperwithwayne.com. If you are one of our coaches looking to back office, more bonus materials, more calls, our high-ticket coaching and consulting videos, we're adding some more this week. We've got about 10 back there now. And I want to share with you how to be successful. That's what my heart is. Lyle, God bless your business and what you're doing, man. I love it. Keep pushing. Keep tell stories. Think about that too. Those who are in network marketing, there's a million testimonials and a few of them are true. So take the true testimonials and share them. If you don't have a testimonial yet, somebody does. And that's how network marketing has been built. And just share your story. Share your story and let that story, or share someone's story in a way that motivates, encourages, and helps people. So listen, guys, I appreciate all of you. I'm going to try to find the end button on this. God bless, and I'll see you here soon.